Good afternoon, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. It's Thursday, September 18th at 4:02. This is an open door, and every Thursday we hold a class and a gathering and come together to look at finding the non-dual or the Advaita teachings in A Course in Miracles. So that's what we're here for today. I am moved to just invite everyone to just settle into your seat, and we'll just have a little moment of centering here. So much has been going on in this world that is not peaceful. So today's lesson is about having peace and teaching peace. And peace is an attribute of the truth. And the truth is one, oneness, all one. Which is at complete peace with itself. And that is what we are. And when we know ourselves to be points of consciousness in this one awareness, which contains everything and is everything, the only result can be peace, because nothing is in conflict in unity. Have you ever considered that for everyone, every seemingly separate person, peace feels the same? It may have subtle variations. It may be deeper in some experiences, more silent, but essentially, we all experience the same peace. And when we move out into the world, From this place of peace, we can begin to teach it and share it. And this is the only way that it is learned and known. Through our sharing and through our being. So let the day go, whatever has brought you to this moment. Let it go. Just be present in this moment. Know you are welcome at this table. And let's begin. We'll begin with our invocation. The impulse comes to gather. The quality of how we are together, how we talk, how we share. This is our gift to the world. The purpose of every gathering is discovered in the gathering itself. It's to recognize beauty and to love what is beautiful. And beauty and love are the truth. Conversation rises out of every particle. It is all alive. Welcome to this empty table, a cleared place where something new can happen. When you take the hands of someone you love, what do those hands become? Let's find out. That's Al-Jamai, the gatherer. So welcome again, beloveds. We are on page, let's see, I'll put it in the chat here. We're on page 252, and it's part B. And the title of this section of this teaching is To Have Peace, Teach Peace, and Therefore Learn It. Last week, we talked about having and giving. The teaching was to have, give all to all. And this weekend on Sunday, we're going to do an in-depth meditation around that sentence and really explore what it feels like, what its meaning, what its deeper meaning is, or one of its deeper meanings. So we'll spend a bit of time with that. But in this teaching, we explored, and we will continue to do this, how it can be that having and giving are truly the same. And this is not true in the material world. It's the opposite, right? This world teaches that what I give or what I share, I lose. It's no longer in my basket of goodies. It's now in someone else's basket of goodies. And so we can see why a course says that this world is upside down, and why the teachings of separation, which is what the egoic mind teaches, are 180 degrees from the truth. They are simply not true. A very convincing illusion, but not true. So today we're going to look at another lesson. And remember, this chapter is titled The Lessons of Love. The Lessons of Love. So a fundamental aspect of love is that you must be what you teach. You have to be it, right? You must be what you seek. You must be what you seek, which is, again, 180 degrees from the egoic idea that what I seek is outside me, and I have to bring it in from the outside because separation is such a truth in the egoic thought system. So this is paradoxical because it's not the way the world of form works, but we're not interested in the way the world of form works anymore because we know it's not working at all. And that's its purpose. It's not working for us, right? So to have peace, teach peace, and therefore learn it. And once again, therefore learn it. And once again, this lesson asks us to investigate whether this teaching is true or not. It respects us. It wants us to investigate. Is this true? So that is a fundamental, it's a core aspect of the Advaita or non-dual teachings. You do not take things on faith. You do your own investigation. You have your own experience because experience brings knowing, which is not book learning. It's true knowing, right? And we only know when we have direct experience. Okay? So non-dual teachings require that the learner investigate for themselves. Faith may be a preliminary step. It may be something that moves us over a border, but only investigation proves the truth of the teaching. So let's look at the major points of this teaching, and then I'm just going to open it up and we're going to talk about what our personal experience with it is. So the lesson begins on paragraph 1 with the admonition that we are always teaching, right? Always teaching. It says in sentence 4 of paragraph 1, what you teach, you are, right? So we are always teaching, whether we realize it or not. What you teach, you are, because what you teach, you reinforce in yourself. So if you believe that separation is true, that's what you will teach, right? If you think that you are alone and that attack is always just around the corner, you will teach that a good defense is a requirement to survive in this world, right? And then you will teach your central thought system, which is the egoic thought system. If it requires defense, you will stay locked in a cycle of feeling defensive, feeling vulnerable, perceiving attack, and then attacking to defend yourself, and then needing to defend again because your attack prompts the other to defend themselves. So we are locked in this world, and ask if this is not true in your experience of this world. We are locked in a cycle of defend, attack, defend, attack, defend, attack, right? And this can be extraordinarily subtle, so subtle, because each person's defense is seen by the other as an attack. And so they will attack back. thus reinforcing the cycle of attack and defend. Right? Who was it? Byron Katie, one of my favorite early teachers, said, defense is the first act of warfare. Defense is the first act of warfare. And she's so right about that. Right? So this teaching that we are exploring this afternoon seeks to end this cycle. This is profound. This teaching intends to end this cycle of attack and defend. Now, A Course in Miracles tells us that this teaching is the first step. Actually, all the teachings in this chapter on the lessons of love are the first step in the reversal of a major egoic idea, which most of us never question. And that idea is called, A Course calls it the getting concept, Getting, the getting concept. It says, this is the hardest lesson to learn. Why? Why is the getting concept the hardest lesson to unlearn, actually? Because it requires us to sacrifice our fear of scarcity. We have to sacrifice our fear of scarcity. This world is founded on the scarcity principle, which says there is never enough. God will not provide. You must provide for yourself. Competition, attack and defend, attack and defend. Okay. So this lesson really contradicts the law of the world that says, I have to hold on to everything I have or it will be lost. Right? So this lesson is really a contradiction to the egoic mind, which holds to the idea of separate interests, separate bodies, separate thoughts, separate lives, and never enough for everyone to go around. So paragraph 6, if you look at paragraph 6, it says, the egoic thought system is upside down and insane. It says, upside down as always. The ego perceives the first lesson as insane. Right. So the getting concept must be proven untrue. This idea of getting to give, getting and holding must be proven untrue. How do we do this? How do we do it? So we hold, most people in this world, 99.9%, hold to two opposing ideas, two opposing thought systems, and only one is true. This is a Course teaching. So A Course teaches that truth must always be true or it's not true. This is also a fundamental teaching of the non-dual teachings or the Advaita. There's only one truth. There can only be one truth if there's only one mind, one consciousness, and one awareness, right? So the truth must always be true, or it's not true. So is it true that to have peace, we must teach peace to learn it? Is that true? So what is it that we all want? It's peace. We all want peace. That is a common denominator. There is no one that does not truly want peace. We can have all the money in the world and not have peace. We can have a perfect body, a healthy body, and not have peace. When we get something, we have worldly power, we still do not have peace. Is that not true in the world today? Right? Often when we buy something or we get something we think we've wanted, we have peace or contentment for a while, but then it loses its luster. It diminishes, right? Satisfaction does not stay. We see that it is diminished and lost as the thing that we thought would give us peace just evaporates. So if you think about it, we can have none of these things, power, things, money, a healthy body, and still we can have peace. We can have none of it, but we can still be at peace. No new car, no great job, not the best apartment, not the best relationship with another person even, but we can still sit in quiet, in solitude, and know peace. It is still available to us, right? We can sit in surrender and know peace. It doesn't cost anything. It's just there. So if this is possible, that we can know peace in any circumstance, what does that say about peace? It tells us that peace, true peace, is an inside job. Right? It is an inside job. And it also tells us that peace is a fundamental aspect of love, which is truth. So peace is consistent. It does not waver. If we investigate this, peace does not waver, and it is always the same for all of us. It can't be bought. And when you know yourself loved and loving, peace is perfectly consistent. So how do we know ourselves loved and loving? We be it. We be it. So this lesson tells us that to know true peace in this world, we have to practice it, which means we have to be it, right? To have peace, teach peace, and therefore learn it. This means being committed. This means being committed to being peace with your whole being. I'm going to say this over and over again as we teach this. A Course in Miracles uses the term holy all the time. I did not like that word when I first heard it because it speaks to me of somebody up there in a bunch of robes and some kind of outfit. I didn't like it. Holy can mean separating. Some people are holy, some people aren't. Holy means to me, W-H-O-L-L-Y, whole, complete. Wholly loving means completely loving. Being holy means being unified in the oneness of the love you are. That is what holy means. So this lesson says to know true peace, we have to practice it with our holy being, right? We have to be it. And this means being committed to it wholly. And this lesson tells us that this is not impossible. In fact, it is wholly possible, because nothing that is wholly, completely desired is difficult. If I want peace with my whole being and I am committed to peace, this is not difficult, because I am in the fulfillment of my true being in my desire to be peace. Right? I desire peace with my whole heart, my whole being. And so I am willing to investigate whether to have peace, I should teach peace and therefore learn it. So the end of this lesson says to have peace, teach peace, and therefore learn it. This brings us to the Advaita. The end of this lesson takes us right to the non-dual teaching. It doesn't use the same language, but that's where it takes us. The non-dual teaching is this: to know what you truly are, to know what you are truly, you must be it. You must become one with it. And to be it, you have to give it. And who are you being it and giving it to? Only to yourself. Last week I said these teachings are circular. So if I want peace, I have to be peace and teach it. Do you see the cycle? It's a perfect cycle. And why does it work? It works because the truth of our being is oneness. What I give, I will receive. That is the law of love. That is the law of oneness. And when I experience that, I know its truth. And that is what this lesson is saying. I want to take us to paragraph 12. Right. This is the very end. I'm getting myself all worked up here. Paragraph 12, if you just go to paragraph 12, I'm going to just walk us through that, and then I'm going to open it up for discussion. Paragraph 12 says, as you take this step, what step? The step to have peace, teach peace, to learn it. As you take this step and hold this direction, it's underlined, hold this direction, you will be pushing toward the center of your thought system. Please just hold your questions for a second and really let these words move you. As you take this step and hold this direction, you will be pushing toward the center of your thought system where fundamental change will occur. Notice again, hold this direction is underlined. What does that sentence mean? It means as we keep this idea of having peace, teaching peace, and learning peace foremost in every interaction, we will be literally undoing the egoic thought system. We are teaching ourselves that that egoic thought system is untrue. Why? Because we will be having a new experience of knowing that to have peace, we teach peace, and then we learn that that is what we are. This is profound, right? We are undoing the egoic thought system through the experience that consistently having, teaching, and learning peace brings. And we can only do this in the moment, in the now, in the one moment now. So this is how we undo the belief and we end the cycle. We break the cycle at its source, which is the idea of scarcity. Right? We're breaking it at its source through consistently in the now, applying this having peace, teaching peace, giving peace to the other person, and then knowing it in ourselves. So we investigate, and we see if this is true in our own experience. That is what this lesson is teaching. This is the beginning in A Course in Miracles. This is the beginning of the end of the ego. And so that is what I have for today. And just open it up for sharing. Thank you for being here. No question is not allowed. It's all allowed, right? This world is teaching exactly the opposite of this lesson. There is no one and nothing in power in this world today that is teaching this lesson. It is teaching the opposite, right? Teaching this lesson can only bring you happiness. It is guaranteed. Julie, come to the head of the table. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
I never can get the unmute up. Too funny. Oh gosh, this is so powerful because it's really right on. I was just talking to Livy earlier, kind of regarding this about just the the truth and the with your ego, and so for me, learning this is very powerful. So with you guys' guidance, and what I'm trying to understand here is that when to try not to be non-dual is to always consider having peace in my heart and then to express it. However, when I go back to being human, then I'll catch it quicker, and then the more I catch it, I'll continue to be then giving more peace. Am I making sense? That's how we learn. It's just
Absolutely.
okay. Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And one of the reasons, a central tenet of A Course in Miracles is forgiveness. That is a central teaching. So when there's not peace in your heart, forgive it, right? That's the other part of the undoing. Just forgive it.
Oh, I like
What is happening? It's teaching you that when you don't have peace, you're not happy. Wow, what a great lesson. You know?
that is.
Forgive. Part of teaching peace is forgiveness. And who are we teaching it to? Ourself, right? I forgive myself for not feeling peaceful.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Forgiveness is the only thing that's not a double-edged sword, right? It doesn't hurt you or the other. It's the only teaching that is truly healing, right? So always reach for forgiveness. Always. You can look for it 1,000 times a day. It's a never-ending source. Right. Thank you. Thank you so much, Julie. Carol. Good, good morning, good afternoon, good day.
Hi, hi, Amy. Hi, everyone. Just before I say what I'm going to say, and God only knows what that is, I just have to say the words that I just can't even. You are so meant to be doing this.
Oh,
I don't know what else to say. It's like, it's your personhood calling.
thank you.
Anyway,
Thank you. That means a lot to me.
it's incredible, just incredible.
Thank you so
Anyway,
much.
sorry for being all. Anyway, so
I receive your love and I give it back. That was such a loving thing for you to say.
oh,
And I return it to you.
so much appreciation.
Thank you.
Anyway, I was just in so much from this, but like the word forgiveness, and it just keeps coming back to me, the fact that everything is love or a call for love. Being everything is love or an experience of fear, not knowing self, oneself, and calling for that, wanting that, calling for love by. So it's really, the forgiveness is really, all it is understanding that there's only one thing going on. It's love, and either love recognizes that, or it's just has not recognized itself through the particular body mind happening, which is also perfect because it's one thing playing out everything.
I
So
love that. I love that. And I love that you said everything is love or a call for love.
yeah,
Isn't that the
absolutely.
truth? Isn't that true?
It's so true. I mean, even when it's not wanting to be recognized, it can't help but be recognized. Eventually, mind sees that. There's just fear, which is like just not knowing, and confusion, which is fear, or knowing, which is love, peace, even through challenge. It's still so. I guess it just, who really knows what's going on truly, but there just seems to be something to do with time and how it's just oneness teaching and presenting to itself. And it seems like different time frames, different
body minds, but it's just a collaboration of which feels like it's in time, but it's not. There's no there is no separation. It's just presenting that way.
And so when we keep this lesson, consistency, because we love it, because we desire it wholly, and so we carry it wholly into every moment, into the now, the now, the now, the now. That ends time, doesn't it, Carol?
It does totally ends time, because time is only there with the thinking mind.
Yeah.
Other than that, that's why it's like there is no experience of time most of the time. When thinking mind isn't at play, it's like, because there isn't thinking mind going on. It's just being and experiencing, being with the experience. You said
And
something.
when we're totally with an experience, when we're totally in an experience, having that timeless moment, is that peaceful?
Oh, absolutely. Even in an experience that could be considered after the fact extremely painful, at the time, in the now, it's just experience. It's not even quite often being requiring thinking mind, because it's just there. Awareness, and just there in the, just being in the situation with whatever or whoever is happening. And then after the fact, mind comes in and blah, 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 right? And then it turns into this whole big thing.
Yep.
But the consistency, like what this is saying, where you just have to be, and even that is just the play of time, because it's one thing that's already it. And yet aspects of itself get to experience what seems like not consistency.
Mhm. Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you, Carol. Melanie, come to the head of the table.
Thanks. That was beautiful, Carol, and all of you. It's wonderful to be here. Just a little thing. I remember about forgiveness. You know, Jesus said, "Forgive 7 times 70." You know, the disciples said 7 times 70. And I read that seven is symbolic for whole, complete forgiveness. You know, so that was interesting to me. And the other thing I was just going to mention, I remember visiting my sister. She lives up in Philadelphia, and walking around, they had in her neighborhood. And you know, I just was so struck by, but as I went by each house, they all had their little secured by Franklin, you know, or secured by ACT. Every house, right, very prominent, you know, and it was like everybody lives in such fear. And it was advertising fear and advertising I have something I don't want to lose. And it just was so obvious. It just struck me. I know even, you know, around here too, you know, you see how many houses are advertising, you know, fear. And so I think that, you know, really is a call for love, isn't it? It's, you know, I can't, it'd be horrible, you know, it's horrible to live in constant fear of someone taking something, or, you know, afraid of that who's ever out there is going to get you or something like that. So
It's so true. It's so true. And that speaks to the cycle of defend and attack, defend and attack. And of course is really, really clear about this. So when I attack, when I see separation, that's an attack. Seeing separation is a form of attack. It's always an attack against myself because there's no separation. But when I see it and I make it real, I know unconsciously it's going to come back at me. The ego fears that. So it just goes on and on and on and on. This lesson is really, as you said, it breaks the cycle. It does. Yeah. ADT, that's what I see up here. ADT. Yeah. It's so. Oy. Thank you, Mel. That's a great example. Livy, come to the head of the table.
Howdy. What that made me think about is there was a he really was, there was a mystic that I got to meet before he passed. And I remember everybody telling me the story, and he and his wife lived this was in San Francisco, and their apartment was broken into one night. And that when the police got there, they found him talking to the young man, sitting at the table in the kitchen drinking tea. Because he didn't have any weapons. He wasn't afraid of the young man. He didn't approach with fear. And he ended up talking with the young man and getting the young man to talk. And, you know, I just love the example of not reacting in fear. This man taught non-duality. He spoke non-duality, and he lived non-duality. And I just loved hearing that story of the confirmation of we can bring love and forgiveness into every situation. Now, I don't know how evolved I am with not being fearful. I don't have like security at my place. I do leave my front porch light on, but anyway, I just always loved that story of non-duality in action, I guess is the best way I know to say that. So thanks for letting me share that, Amy.
Thank you, Livy. That reminds me of the story about, oh, come on, it's that famous play where the guy, I won't go into it. Anyway, it reminds me of another story, but thank you. I sometimes do wonder what I would do if someone broke into my house, and I hope I would respond in that same way. Yeah. Thank you, Livy. Cindy, and then maybe Sandra, if Sandra's, okay, Cindy.
I have so much fun listening. This is beautiful. And lately this mind is working to connect all the dots, this teaching versus that teaching versus the other teachings. So one of the first things that came up while I was listening to you, Amy, is a teaching from the guides. I've heard them multiple times say peace is not the absence of war. And it's a really important teaching for me. They teach that as we rise into the upper room and we let go of fear, this idea of conflict/war will be impossible. So peace is not just that today there's no fighting in my life. It actually comes from this withdrawing attention from the belief that there could be a fight.
Yeah. Yeah.
The other thing that was coming up as I was listening was this conversation that Patricia and I and some others were having last night in listening to Helen Hamilton response to this young woman who was talking about this overwhelming sadness. It's the same conversation that Melanie pointed us to a number of times. And it feels like the same teaching. Helen literally said she doesn't remember the last time she felt this sadness. Why? Because part of it, not all of it, but she said, when I watch the news, this was very interesting. We were talking about it last night. When I watch the news, I see opportunities to essentially open my heart. So this experience of being able to see the world as an opportunity to serve and not as evidence of war or conflict is the part of what happens as we move to the Holy Spirit's thought system instead of the egos, right? We become in service to, when we're filled with peace, then when we see like a picture that is not that, we can hold it in knowing that that picture of war or conflict is not in truth. And as we hold it and allow it to move through us without believing it, it transforms on its own.
Mhm.
And so it's just kind of neat how it's all marinating here in this basic teaching of and just accepting that if I'm not at peace, I'm believing a thought that's not true, and I could allow that thought to come up and be held in the truth, and it will dissolve on its own. And before Melanie says it, I know I ain't doing it, but it's part of the practice that I'm just watching it occur and giving sort of the guides keep telling me that my agreement is necessary. And I could, on whatever level I'm thinking, I see that. Like I could push against it and I could keep the door closed a little bit longer. I have no desire to do that. So it's just all extraordinary how it's all just seems more and more to be the same thing.
Mm.
Like this whole idea that love's real. Duh. And then, anything that's not that, why do I have to give it believing attention?
Thank you.
That's my contribution.
Thank you. One of the ways, Patricia, I'll just want to say something and then you're up. These feelings that seem to arise, that do arise, these feelings of not peace or fear or whatever. When we look at them arising from the non-dual perspective, it is that we are the container in which they are arising, right? We are the awareness in which they are arising. The endless, limitless, open, transparent, pure awareness in which these feelings are arising. And as we allow them to move, they dissipate. They have their own sort of wave-like action. They come in toward the shore and they crest and then they crash and then they move out again. But as we do this, our awareness gets bigger and bigger, and it becomes a larger and larger container in which more and more experience can be held and received and moved, right? And so this is where forgiveness is beautiful and wonderful and true. It is true. But forgiveness is a movement toward being able to be the larger and larger container, the more infinite awareness. God's mind, infinite mind, holds everything, everything. And that is what we are. And so our willingness to hold more and more and more without judgment or fear and continue to teach peace, this is our enlarging, right? And I just see it like that. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Patricia, good to see you.
Thank you. It's good to see you all. And thank you, Amy, once again. I was thinking about what happened to me last night. I was watching the news, and the word that came to mind was Gestapo.
Mhm.
And I started to cry. And then I said, okay. And then I thought of Jimmy Kimmel and I thought about NPR, etc. then I thought about NPR and how people have turned it around and are supporting it like crazy. It's wonderful. I don't know what will happen with Jimmy Kimmel. It was hard for me to send love out. I can send acceptance because it is what it is. And I can send out peace to all of us. But I'm not sure I can send out love yet.
Mm.
Now, if I send out peace, does that mean I'm also sending out love? I don't know. I don't know.
Oh, well, that's a really great one, Patricia. So this is where the scarcity principle comes into play, right? Because you can't give what you don't have, right? So if there's no love to send out into the world, love yourself. Love the truth. Love the source of which you are, right? Love that. You don't have to send love out into the world, right? You don't have to invite someone over for dinner that you don't want to sit next to. But when you know yourself, the love, that's enough,
Mhm.
right?
That's a good point.
Yeah. Thank you for that. That was a great teaching. And August says, wasn't aware these were going on. I realized I've been removed from world events and news. But through the lesson today, I realized my purpose is not to remove myself, rather to hold it all. Mm. Thank you, August. And when you can't hold it, don't go back to peace. You have to be the peace that holds it all, right? None of it is true. It's all a dream, right? It's a dream. It's a dream. Right. So next week we're going to stay on this thing of consistency because the next teaching is be vigilant only for God and his kingdom. I would reword that, be vigilant only for the truth, right? Only for the truth. So we will explore the non-dual aspect of that teaching next week. Right. And I want to just thank you all for being here. And I want to thank you, Carol, for your words because Cindy and I were talking before this started, and I was telling her how every time before these gatherings, there's fear that arises in me because I so want to share truthfully. I so want to make sure that I am not taking anything for granted. And your words were just that was just a perfect circle, Carol. So I really thank you so much for that. Mhm.
Yeah, it's not even, the words don't even really describe how I feel about what you do and what you've been doing for so long with this. But yeah, you just trust that, well, we're all exactly where we're supposed to be.
We are.
Absolutely everything, every wart, every seeming mistake, all of it is the part of the whole.
Yeah.
And just enjoy because it's like really such a gift.
Thank you. How can you go wrong when you're teaching the truth? Right?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
it's not me. It's just it's these words. It's just coming down. It's not me. And that's, it's totally egoic when that fear arises. That is a complete separation idea. And I'm sharing that because you know, we all do it. We all have it. I see it. I recognize it. So go back to the love from the words. That's what I did. Go back to the love from the words and just share the love from the words. Right? So thank you. Thank you. So come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, fire worshiper, lover of leaving. This is not a caravan of despair. Does not matter that you have broken your vows 1,000 times. Still come and yet again. And so we will see you tomorrow at 10 for finding the word. Do your homework. And if you don't, I'll explain it. And Cindy will post it in her mailing to you. And I just want to thank you for your presence because you complete this teaching. Right? You complete it. So thank you.